I never thought I'd see the day. The Queen's returned.
Rivia. And here I feared I would see it no more.
I believed you would. I believed you could succeed. Be victorious, Your Grace.
We've not arrived just yet, Reynard. Look, black flags still flutter over the cities. We've yet much work before us. More battles to fight. More blood to spill.
You need my help with anything? Anything at all?
Long you've travelled, Barnabas. The wonders you must have seen. Likely visited many exotic lands before you reached Mahakam.
Corvia, yes. Matina, yes. Nazir-Doubly. Zerrikania, gods, yes. And Korath, even. I mean, such beauty there, though hot. Oh, dreadfully so. Horrible place to grow turnips, if you've ever a mind to try. Novigrad. Lived there a spell as well, but I didn't much care for it.
Why ever not?
The hierarch, intractable man, banned one of my inventions, condemned it as unholy, vile, etc., etc. Decided he would burn both of us at the stake. As you can imagine, we had a difference of opinion in that regard.
Perhaps I shall regret this, but do tell. What was the thing you created exactly?
I knew you'd be interested. You've a curious mind, dear Queen. We're two peas of a feather. Quite the clever contraption it was. Made for a widow, wealthy but aching with longing. In her husband's absence, tormented by unfulfilled needs.
Stop right there. I knew I'd regret asking.
And see, it had this special crank that when rotated...
Barnabas, no, enough.
As you command, Your Majesty. But if you ever get the urge to see it, I've the prototype still tucked away in my trunk.
Noted. But by the gods, please, let's change the subject. Time I attended to other...
Must be an important lesson in this. But what?
You mad? Don't shake that!
Hundred and 102, 103.
Hey! Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth? Alba!
This could hurt. Yeah! Yeah!
My boots got sand aplenty in them.
Watch your heads! You can try to win them all, but you won't. Name the truth!
Can't take it anymore. Yes.
Bestseller Zweifel! El Höxer.
We must trust each other. That bit the white of an eye from half a league away.
Scheiß! In!
Try!
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Blood washes away all shame!
Off to the front yet again.
Meve needed but set one foot into the Ruwode to know something was amiss. The sickening stench of rot hung in the air. Flies swarmed in thick clouds, and crows cawed in a deafening cacophony. What had caused this murder to amass? Well, Meve's scouts soon found out,
Your Majesty,
reported a certain Sergeant Nadamur.
not far from here, past the bend, there's a crossing and it's full of bodies. Our boys and the blackclads alike. Bodies mutilated, horribly so, guts ripped open, entrails strewn about, heads locked. Somewhere, well,
Yes?
branches embrace them, grip them tight, as if the trees they strangled them.
Hearing this, the Queen ordered a halt to their march. They would go no further, she thought, till they knew what had killed those men. Luckily, witnesses were soon found. A haggard band of resin burners emerged from a nearby dugout, black with dirt, covered in dried blood.
My lady,
Their eldest stammered.
Blackins came and started felling the wood. Forced folk to chop away, to make way for a town, they said. They pushed hard, right to the heart of the forest where the old oaks grow, and awoke some foulness. The whole camp, blackclads and loggers alike, done in one night. No time even to draw their weapons. We was lucky. Found pits to hide in. Just heard of something huffed and puffed while talking to the trees, no less.
Reynard ordered medics to tend to the tar makers. then turned to Meave.
We cannot wash our hands of this, Your Grace. The Nilfgaardians awoke the monster, yes, but it kills Rivians just as readily.
Meave stood at the edge of the clearing and pricked her ears. The Ruode echoed with the cawing of crows, which seemed to perch on its every twig. She also heard the howling of wolves and a hollow rattling, as if branches whipped in the wind, though the day was fair and still.
That Geralt. He just had to desert me.
The Queen removed her cloak to avoid snags and trundled toward the heart of the wood. Her soldiers followed, clutching cocked crossbows to sweaty cheeks.
Thank ye, Your Majesty!
Deep in the wood, it grew cool, with a thin fog filling the air. Meave pushed past a large branch of hazel and froze. Before her stood a tall figure, nearly human in form, save the moss-covered deer skull in place of its head. Empty eye sockets burning with naked flame, the monstrosity hurled itself at Meave with a roar.
Rally to me!
Cried Meave, raising her shield.
Everyone! Anyone! To me! Be wary. We know not what this thing can do.
Oh, bother. What have we got ourselves into this time?
Discipline shall bring us victory!
Wanna know why I've got a scar? Catch!
Fascinating specimen. I must study it once we're finished.
We'll catch 'em all! Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Believe it's dead, whatever that means for such a thing.
Attacked from all sides, the monster teetered and swayed, fighting off their blows with ever greater difficulty. Finally, it fell to the ground and fell apart, like an undone bundle of twigs. In disbelief, Meve towed the pile of dried branches and scraps of bark. She saw no blood, no entrails, as if no monster had ever stood there. As if it had all been a dream.
We return to the road.
Meve said, crushing the beast's deer-like skull under her heel.
Ah, and Reynard, I've a request.
Yes, Your Grace?
Once we regain the realm and return to the capital, remind me to issue an edict. No one is to enter these woods, not to log nor even to gather brush. Just in case.
Those dwelling near the Ruwode heaved a sigh of relief, and the Lyrians returned to fighting an invader who, after what they'd faced in those woods, no longer seemed so frightening.
Cursed traitors.
Watch your heads!
Can't take it anymore.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
catch!
We'll catch 'em all!
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
I smell a leak.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Wanna know why I've got my scar?
She's on!
You mad? Don't shake that!
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Discipline shall bring us victory!
A robust rain hither comes.
Meve arrived at the walls of Gradobor, famed for fine rugs and woven tapestries. The city's artisans had been at work, no doubt pressed by the Nilfgaardians, for atop the tallest spire, that of the town hall, flapped a lustrous ebony flag, a sun of golden threads at its center. So vast was the banner, Gascon whistled in admiration.
Gotta admit, the Blackclads certainly have panache.
And a vast and powerful army, I'd remind you.
Reynard interjected.
Arbalists line the walls. That stench in the air, hot tar. Victory's not likely to come cheap, I fear.
No cost is too high.
Said Meve, a hardness in her voice.
Reynard, Gascon, ready our men to attack.
The Lyrians needed no more encouragement. Since arriving, they had reveled in anticipation of taking the city, then ripping the banner from its spire.
It will be difficult, Your Grace. The walls are strong.
Sod it. Sod it all.
You mad? Don't shake that!
Go on, Encazer!
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Stop your yapping and start digging.
The gate! Someone's opening the gate! Forward, march!
Tomorrow I'll drink with our forefathers! Ah! Hey?
Hail, Herzer.
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Discipline. That is what you folk lack.
Discipline shall bring us victory!
This could hurt.
That bit the white of an eye from half a league away.
A highly curious case.
Victory, your grace! The city is ours! The battle for Gradobor was a hard fight, though not quite as hard as most had thought it might be. During the assault, at its critical juncture, a blow fell from the blue. The unlikely heroes, merchants and burghers brought together by the city's guilds. A wave of them, all riled, swarmed the black-clads at the gates and opened them wide to let Lyria in.
Onward! Follow me!
As fighting died down around the city, Neve rode for the town hall on a personal quest. Nilfgaard's vast, garish banner rippled overhead. With its halyard cut, it plunged like a great black bird, stricken. It was the last any would see of the golden sun over Gradobor.
3 cheers! Hip, hip, hooray!
Valyrians were victorious, though not without aid. Neve met with the merchants who had roused the townsfolk, inspired them to rise up and fight.
Many of my soldiers, dozens, perhaps hundreds, owe you their lives today.
Said the Queen.
For that, I am deeply grateful. No, deeply indebted. Should you know a way I might repay the debt, don't for a moment hesitate to ask.
The merchants exchanged glances, nodded, grunted, agreed with each other without uttering a word. Then one, a clothfuller, his moustache most robust, stepped forth, bowed low, and spoke for them all.
Your Majesty, the invaders brought laws. Laws what don't agree with customs we've long held. Non-humans they forced us to accept. Let them join our guilds, sit on the city council. It's right ridiculous it is. These treacherous dwarves, why, they've been on their side from the start, so it's no wonder. But, well, the Nilfgaardian reforms, we'd like you to revoke them. Non-humans must know their place.
An awkward silence ensued. All turned their eyes to the Queen, awaiting her response.
I agree. Non-humans must know their place.
Began the Queen.
So listen closely, all. Whether elf, dwarf, gnome, or human, it matters not. My subjects are equal.
Your Grace, you said it thyself. Were it not for us...
My troops would have died, true. Yet among the dead, there'd have been dwarves of Mahakam, I've no doubt. Dwarves who agreed to fight by my side when none believed I could prevail.
The tradesman huffed, the tradesman puffed. Meve silenced them with a firm swipe of her hand. She left Gradabor that very day, furious at the city's merchants for their bigotry, and irked at an unpleasant truth, that even the vile Nilfgaardians occasionally got something right.
Well, our very own Queen on the Dwarf Elder's leash. Why am I not surprised? Dwarves don't let humans into Mahakam. Why have we got to let them into our homes? Well...
Beautifully knocked those racist knoblickers down a peg! Here, here, dear Queen!
Yes?
Can't take it anymore. For Rivia!
New orders? No?
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
It's gonna be a right good levy. Big and beautiful.
Ha!
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am. You can try to win them all, but you won't. Can't take it anymore. Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Ha! Hail, Kerzer!
Blood washes away all shame!
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Left, right, left, right.
Stop your yapping and start digging.
Don't you worry yourself, you Grace. We'll get it done in no time.
As good as dead, that lot.
Must be an important lesson in this. But what?
This could hurt.
Again and again and again.
Her Majesty is exceptional.
I never miss.
Burak!
Target acquired.
Watch your heads!
Kazer! Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Discipline. That is what you folk lack.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
As the Lyrians passed a cemetery marching along its ivy-covered wall, they heard mourners wailing pitifully to a priestess's moving song. The soldiers dutifully lowered their heads. Their minds sought out fallen comrades and kin, and they wondered whom else the war would yet claim.
Listen,
said Gascon, stirring me from her own meditation.
I think I'll veer off for a bit.
What for? To offer your condolences?
In a manner of speaking. But just go on. I'll rejoin you soon.
Meave nodded in agreement, then made as if to ride on. Yet Gascon had hardly entered the cemetery when the Queen turned and followed. Gascon quickly realized he was not alone.
Ah, Meave. Had I been plotting to do you no good, I'd not have announced I was sneaking off to do it.
What do you mean?
Come now, Meave, don't play the fool. You don't trust me, so you followed. Probably thought I'd commune with Epdahi in some crypt. Nay, better, the conclave of mages. Well, rest assured then. For if I truly had something I wanted to conceal, I dare say you'd not have noticed me slip off.
If I truly suspected something nefarious, I'd have dispatched my scouts, not followed you alone.
Which begs the question, why'd you follow? Why are you here? Why have you come?
Because you've not been yourself. You've been acting strangely.
And that gives you the right to spy on me?
Gascon, I've grown used to you bending the rules of decorum, but now you overstep, sir. You overstep.
Oh, will you have me flogged?
Hold your tongue, sir, or I shall indeed. Splendid. Now tell me why you've come here.
If you absolutely must know, then follow me.
Gascon led Meave through the ruins of a mausoleum, past its decapitated statues, past ancient gravestones effaced, past sarcophagi smashed to pieces.
Whose is it? Could it be...
Yes, Meave. My family's vault. The Brossards.
The Brossards? Wait. The Brossards?
The very same. Traitors who in 1258 revolted against King Reginald, your late husband. The earth lie lightly upon him. An error, most certainly. We paid dearly for it. Reginald had no mercy, decimated the family. As you can see, didn't even spare the dead. I was outside, away from the house. It is the only reason I survived. Was 8 at the time, stripped of title and home. Well, I'm sure you can guess the rest. Frankly, do my damnedest not to think on it. But the wall, the cemetery, seeing them awoke all the old demons.
Your crest. I seem to recall a pointer. The Duke of Dogs. Now I understand. The Brossard's trial I remember well. Reginald was angry. He prodded and pushed. Too far. The sentence was cruel, spiteful. I felt it all, but said nothing. I'm so very, very sorry, Gascon.
Water under the bridge. And the past's a thing none of us can change.
The past, no. But the present? I could rebuild your family's tomb. All deserve to rest in peace.
Meave, the war nears its end days now, and you'll have more urgent expenses.
So I shall pay for this now. I'm grateful, Gascon, and indebted, vastly. Let me do this. Let me pay my debt in part, at least.
I thank you.
Gascon remained silent the rest of the day. When the force halted for the night, he sat secluded in his tent. But by the morn, he was his witty, mirthful self again. His family's final resting place would be returned to its former glory. This he knew, and it seemed to lift a weight from his mind. He could now reconcile with his family's tragic past.
Good Mother, grant him eternal peace. Oh, why have the...
Move that candle.
Good Mother...
A highly curious case.
I smell a leak. You mad? Don't shake that!
Can't take it anymore.
$152, $154.
Blood washes away all shame! Yes. Hey!
Hurry!
Scrubbing duty again? Oh, gods.
just when you thought things were about to get dull. New orders? No? Must be an important lesson in this. But what?
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
Hellcatzer!
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Yep. Go on, Encazer!
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Discipline. That is what you folk lack.
Her Majesty is exceptional.
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
101, 102, 103.
Don't you worry yourself, Your Grace. We'll get it done in no time.
Very glad.
So much anger and suffering. For what?
Pissing in the moat? Oh, you're dead.
The Devil's Tower. We draw near, Your Grace.
No sign of Willem yet, far as I can see.
Unsurprising. Prompt he never was.
The Queen had chosen to meet Willem at Devil's Tower, and not without purpose. The structure stood on an isle, so no foe could approach without first exposing themselves on a narrow bridge. The isle had little vegetation midst which to conceal a large force. A small unit could evade detection. Altogether not much to fear.
No escorts were your terms,
Began Gascon, with a hint of mischief.
but better safe than sorry, I always say.
What are you suggesting?
Yours truly and 4 chaps behind the walls. Give a signal, any signal, and we'll leap to your side.
Meve struggled with her conscience. There was no honor in Gascon's plan, but prudence, certainly. In the end, she nodded in agreement, though not without compunction. Willem arrived soon after, the heavily armored cavalry he had in tow clearly there to boost his courage. He left them at the foot of the bridge and rode across alone. A stiff wind from the river nearly made off with his ermine fur cloak. Willem and the mother who'd borne him stood face to face. They gazed into each other's eyes, waiting to see who would look away first. When neither did, Meve broke the silence.
Time flies, and I've a kingdom to liberate. No need to drag this out. What's this about? Tell me.
I thought my messenger already did.
Oh, he did. And how? Willem I wishes to arrange a truce. Only, Willem I is in no position to parley on an equal footing. Willem I can, at most, offer his unconditional surrender, because Willem I's losing this war.
Yes, Mother, I am. And I see that by losing I've at last made you content.
Don't play the victim. What next? Will you say you turned cloak because Mummy showed no warmth, displayed no feelings?
'Twould be unfair, any such judgment. You did show feelings, chiefly enmity, contempt. But that's not why I betrayed you. No, I simply disagreed with your choices, assessments.
I had every right to do what I considered just and good.
And I had every right to voice my view, which you ever ignored. Yet this is neither the time nor the place to discuss that. Let us parley as strangers. I'm losing, you say. And you're right. But I haven't lost yet, and have no intention to surrender. I am ready, however, to renounce my fealty to the Empire and pledge my forces to you. As long as you fulfill my conditions.
Let me hear them.
First, you will not rescind the reforms I've authorized already, any of them. Second, you will guarantee both my safety and that of my advisors. Third, I shall remain your heir, and next in line for the throne.
These terms I cannot accept.
Well, I had to try, Mother.
Yet I can't deny your courage either. Come here. Look me in the eye. This couldn't have been easy.
No.
I trust when the time comes, you'll show the same nerve on the battlefield.
I shall seek out your banner. Let the gods then settle our dispute once and for all. Goodbye, Mother.
Willem bowed, turned and walked away. Meve's anger burned still in her gut, beneath a heart now heavy with grief. Soon thereafter, Meve's army set out towards Rivia Castle. It would not be long now before the decisive battle.
Your Grace,
said Reynard, saluting and clicking his heels.
Peasants from the Scala region have arrived at camp. Supplicants, wishing to deliver a plea to your person.
Meve sighed. Supplicants, trials, audiences. All aspects of queendom she did not miss.
Very well. Bring them here.
She replied.
And instruct them to be brief, with no digressions.
The band of commoners was led by a sturdily built beekeeper dubbed Ethelred, son of Theobald. Finding himself in the Queen's presence, he fell to his knees and waved his arms in his best impression of proper etiquette.
Oh, my lady the Queen, your gracious mightiness, take pity on us tillers and toilers. Wars all around, leaving us but scraps to live off, and barely that, to be honest. So we beg you, don't do it. Don't raise the levies. We can't pay more than...
What?
Meve interrupted.
What the devils are you talking about?
What? Your decree? One they nailed to our notice board.
The peasant said, sheepishly pulling out a parchment and pointing to the relevant paragraph with his rough finger.
We, Queen Meve, do hereby proclaim that if our throne we shall recover, the tallage, muirage, and pavage we shall raise threefold. The expenses of this war, for to compensate at the cost of the common folk.
Meve and Reynard exchanged astonished glances. They had issued no such decree. Yet the document bore her signature and seal.
Perhaps it was Willem's doing.
Impossible,
Meve said firmly.
My son sank low, but not so low as to forge my name.
Then who fabricated this decree?
The Nilfgaardians.
The Queen replied without hesitation.
They have access to my seal, to my scribes. They wish to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt, turn my folk against me. And they are liars without any honor.
The Queen tore the falsified document to shreds. Knowing this would solve nothing, she had to find the printers churning out these fakeries and end their run.
must be an important lesson in this. But what?
Can't take it anymore.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
My boots got sand aplenty in them.
Go on, Encader! You mad? Don't shake that! This could hurt.
Discipline. That is what you folk lack.
I'd hoped we could solve this some other way.
A highly curious case.
Gonna need 3 buckets of nails and a tub full of pegs.
Thing about slings, they hide well. Hey?
Her Majesty is exceptional.
Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Oi, Meavy!
Cried Gascon, as usual paying no heed to courtly etiquette.
Come here a minute.
Would it hurt so terribly to occasionally address me by Your Grace or Your Majesty?
Didn't want to be petty, but since you bring it up, you've never once addressed me as the Duke of Dogs.
Meave sighed, rolling her eyes.
Get on with it.
My lads jumped one of the Blackclads' transports. Guess what they were hauling?
Gascon handed Meave a pot filled to the brim with a thick, dark fluid.
Paint?
Close. Printer's ink. Same tone used in those phony decrees.
Meave spun on her heel, put a hand to her mouth, and yelled,
Reynard! Send scouts to comb the area!
Her soldiers returned a few hours later with good news. They were able to find a Nilfgaardian printer's workshop hidden in an abandoned barn. It was guarded by a division of elite infantry.
Right, so?
Gascon thumbed the edge of his blade.
Shall we stop the presses?
Time for the Nilfgaardians to publish a retraction.
Spoke the Queen as she drew her sword.
Signed with their own blood. Follow me!
The Lyrians did not need to be told twice. Their Queen's honor, her good name, that was a cause well worth fighting for.
It's her! Yes, you fool her! Sound the alarm! Larum!
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Tomorrow I'll drink with our forefathers!
Very gloire. I smell a leak. You mad? Don't shake that!
Ennard Fane!
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Her Majesty is exceptional.
So much anger and suffering. For what?
Scheiß in Trey!
Off to the front yet again.
Quiet! The Commissar will hear. Scheiß in Trey!
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
They weren't expecting us. Seems they believed their own blarney.
The Nilfgaardians fought fiercely, led by a seasoned covert agent. Seeing he would soon fall into enemy hands, he put a knife to his throat and, in a quick slash, sent blood pouring over paper and still wet ink. Reynard leapt towards him, trying to stanch the red tide. But it was too late, and the spy's secrets perished with his last gargled breath. Meve picked up a freshly printed pamphlet. The document listed her many crimes and misdeeds, the true and the manufactured alike. Above the main body of the text, an etching depicted her, well, in a very unflattering manner.
How about a taste of their own medicine?
Asked Gascon, piecing blocks of type into a scathingly foul phrase.
Me and the lads will scratch out a couplet about Ep Dahi, spread it around the countryside, give the folk a hearty laugh at those tossers' expense.
Yes, these presses should be put to good use.
The Queen said.
But printing lewd jests is not it. We must spread facts. Tell what the Nilfgaardians did in Aldersburg, how they tried to murder me in Mahakam and Angren. What fate lies in store for those they conquer?
Gascon grew serious and set the ink-stained type back down.
Get to work. Before the sun sets, I wish to hold the first document in my hands.
Soon, in every town, village and tavern, there hung a notice detailing Nilfgaard's crimes. The outraged Rivians did what they could to strengthen the Queen's army. Some by offering coin, others by joining her ranks.
Nilfgaard left none alive in Rosberg, not even one woman, and no child was spared! Peasants from Edern have been captured and put to work by force. Nilfgaard now prepares the same fate for Rivia and all Rivians. Emperor Emir var Emrys is a Vran imposter, a Vran Doppler! Emperor Emir...
Rivia will never die so long as we are alive. Nilfgaard will... Lady, the traitors run before you. Find me a map, and I'll show you where they buried the loot. Rivia will never die.
These lands, they look familiar to you?
Naturally, Your Grace. They're the venerable Count Caldwell's.
War, death, chaos. Everywhere but here. This land's positively pastoral.
The traitorous Caldwell family's residence loomed into view. Against the horizon, it looked suitably sinister. Yet the manor had changed since Meve last saw it. 2 new wings, ornate towers, a grand colonnade. And the windows now glistened with stained glass, the gilded hue of imperial suns.
We must pay them a visit,
Seethed the Queen. The great double doors opened with an echoing thud. Just inside them stood the heir to the estate, Dragomir, his wife and 3 children by his side, and Helena, the treacherous Count's widow. Sliding the cap from his head, thus giving proof of the family's hereditary baldness, Dragomir knelt down upon one knee.
Your Grace, my father's betrayal stands beyond doubt and exoneration.
The young Caldwell said flawlessly, and in a single breath, as if he'd practiced a dozen times.
And his death at your hands was most well deserved. I ask that ye not punish sons for the sins of their fathers. I ask humbly, with bowed head, allow me to stay on my ancestral lands, to serve faithfully as your loyal subject.
I believe not a word slithering out of his mouth,
whispered Reynard.
The first chance he gets to stab you in the back, he will take.
Convenient to make this request now, don't you think? Why not earlier?
Meve asked, crossing her arms and raising her chin.
It would have behooved you to send a messenger, once I'd crossed into Rivia.
Preferred to speak to you directly, Your Grace, For
you held out hope. Hope that the Blackclads would yet defeat me. You stood on their side till the last. No. The Caldwells I trusted once, but I shan't make that error again. You've one day to pack your chattels and go. Leave my country.
Dragomir rose from his knee and shook out the cap he'd crushed in supplication.
Only ever as a corpse, Your Majesty.
He hissed, his vulnerable demeanor gone in a flash.
If you'll not take me for your vassal, you must take me as your foe. Men, to arms!
At this sign, armed men rushed from the house while archers appeared atop the roof. Clearly, Dragomir had expected to be refused.
You'll not destroy my family! I won't allow it!
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
This artist will be reaping black-clad heads.
That bit the white of an eye from half a league away.
My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
A time to reap, a time to sow.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
One bullet I need. Can't take any more. Father was right about you.
Dragomir lay in the courtyard of his extravagant manor. With the last of his strength, he clawed at the colored gravel. He resembled an insect that was hurt, damaged, yet pulled itself along as if it could somehow escape death. The Queen knelt beside him and gazed into his clouded eyes.
I want you to know your family will be looked after. You've relatives in Kedwen. They'll be sent there, properly escorted, with the proper stipend.
Dragomir wished to say something, but choked on his own blood. He was dead a moment later. The Queen slowly stood and gave the order to march. She rode at the front of the column, deep in thought.
I smell a leak.
Oh, the Commissar will hear.
You mad? Don't shake that!
Can't take it.
This could hurt. Watch your heads!
Got any victuals? I'm hungry like a wolf, I am.
End up to it!
Hey? Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Don't you worry yourself, you Grace. We'll get her done in no time.
I warned you.
Wait, you're serious?
Inarim Yalde Crowfair.
Sod it. Sod it all.
I smell a leak.
You mad? Don't shake that! This could hurt.
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Watch your heads! Catch! Hey!
Stop your yapping and start digging.
Can't take it.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your team?
Discipline shall bring us victory!
Don't you worry yourself, mate. We'll get her done in no time.
It's not too late to walk away.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
And just when you thought things were about to get dull.
Blood washes away all shame!
Meve now reached Willowhain, a settlement she knew well, for it lay near Waldenrad, where in peacetime she would go to escape her queenly duties and enjoy the thrill of a hunt.
Pheasant, grouse, and partridge in abundance. You will see,
said Meve in muted excitement, pivoting in her saddle to face Gascon. Alas, it appeared the war had ravaged even these woods. Where life had stirred and grown tall before, only resinous trunks remained. And the village itself had lost its quaint allure, surrounded now by a double stockade, a golden sun fluttering above it.
Bastards couldn't even let the damn trees be.
Gascon seethed. A dismal scene. Her once cherished wood, and it weighed heavily on the Queen's spirits. Waldenrad had been a place removed, where she could rest and forget the weight of her crown. Reynard's voice roused Meve from her sad reverie.
A Nilfgaardian garrison holds the village,
he said.
We ought to drive them out. Avoid any surprise later from the rear.
give the order to attack, but none is to play the hero. We shall breach or topple the stockade together. Senseless to perish so close to home.
Reynard nodded. Moments later, the Lyrians rushed forth and attacked.
The time has come to purge these devils from our homes! Follow me!
This could hurt.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Trouvé, Nicolas!
Watch your heads!
Can't take any more.
Oh!
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Ha!
When will you ever learn?
Wait, you're serious?
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Alba! Very glad!
My prescription bloodletting.
Rivia is ours! Ours!
When the battle dust had settled, Niamh instructed her soldiers to gather Willowhane's inhabitants. Upon spotting their armed liberators, the common folk cowered in terror.
No longer need you fear.
The Queen shouted.
No longer must you worry about homes and loved ones. The war's nearly done.
Of a sudden, a villager dropped to his knees and raised his hands to the heavens in supplication.
Trache! Guide make vein!
Niamh broke off oddly, baffled by the man's outburst. And then it dawned on her. The Rivians of Willowhane had been driven away. Taking their place, Nilfgaardian settlers brought in to transform the near-subsistence plots of local peasants into great estates producing for the Empire. Reynard managed to grasp the essence of the Nilfgaardian peasants' frantic pleas.
They wish to stay. They've come to love the land. They pledged to renounce their emperor, swear allegiance to you as their rightful ruler.
Niamh had stopped listening. She turned to survey the hamlet. The walls of the huts freshly whitewashed, tools neatly arranged, flower beds well tended. A young girl of 6 or 7 summers peered out from her hiding place in a sunflower patch.
Your Majesty?
Asked Reynard, having noted that Meave's mind had wandered.
What are your orders? What shall we do?
Tell them! Actually, no. I shall tell them myself.
Meave stood on a bench, drew, then brandished her sword, and yelled at the top of her lungs.
Out! Go! Be gone! This is our land. Our country! Understand?
Without understanding a single word, the settlers easily deciphered the Queen's sentiment. They hastily gathered their chattels and fled. Meave sheathed her sword and resumed the march. And Willowhain, once vibrant, now stood quiet and lifeless. Say,
Mom, I've come to tell you...
What?
Against my better judgment, I joined you to heal your wounded. I realize now that was a mistake.
What exactly do you mean?
What you did runs counter to all my beliefs. You had your reasons, and have them still, I know. Yet I've no desire to abet them. I'd feel shame to lend a hand.
What can I do? Is there anything that would make you stay?
No, Mom. Farewell.
So be it. Good luck and Godspeed, Isbel.
let me tell you of Ravencloft, a quarry Meave passed by. A quarry with a dark history. For years earlier, its wall had collapsed, burying dozens alive. Scholars summoned from Oxenfurt were unanimous in their findings. The rock was fragile, further digging would likely cause slides. Meave had heeded the scholars' advice and closed the quarry by royal decree. Yet now, as she neared it, Meave could hear the even tap of pickaxes. She dispatched scouts to investigate. They returned promptly, their faces sullen, their cloaks blanched with a fine limestone dust.
Quarry's open anew, Your Grace. Nilfgaardians. They've got folk in the pit working it. Appear to be from the surrounding villages.
Interesting. Their engineers have found a way to render it safe. Secure the walls.
I'd say that's right unlikely, Majesty. Judging by the fresh graves we saw.
The Queen then turned to Reynard, as ever at her side.
Reynard, what do you advise?
As a soldier, my queen, I'd advise against any kind of assault. The terrain's hard, unsuitable for a fight, and we've little to gain from a victory. As a man, however...
Yes?
To leave our folk in chains, in that death trap. 'Twouldn't be right.
If I were to calculate in heart and mind, keep note of gains and losses...
began Meave.
I'd bend the knee to the Imperials, just as Willem did. But bloody arithmetic won't dictate my course. For I do what's just. I do what's right. Follow me!
Her troops followed without hesitation, swords in hand, their hearts afire.
Those whoresons, forcing my own subjects to fight us.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Watch your heads!
Your Grace, if we begin killing the overseers, the labourers will turn against them. The overseers are dead, Your Grace.
The Lyrians handily dispatched the Nilfgaardian overseers, more trained in the ways of the whip than the sword. Those who survived now found themselves shackled in the very chains they'd forced the peasants to wear. Peasants. Oh, unfortunate souls. The cruel labor in the quarry had taken its toll. They stood before the Queen, shrunken to skin and bone, clothed in tattered rags, their eyes reddened by dust. But in those eyes burned a brilliant fire.
Your Grace, them black-clads treated us like dogs. Stripped us of dignity. So we beg you, give us arms. Let us march neath your banner. 'Tis a chance at revenge we seek, we want.
Reynard leaned towards Meave and spoke in a scarcely audible whisper.
Majesty, they've knout. Not boots, not even foot wraps. To equip the lot, train them, would cost a small fortune.
"'Tis true. They've nought to their names,"
said the Queen.
"Have few skills to offer and little strength. But to look in their eyes is to know they'll never flee, never throw down their arms. Such recruits are worth coin in any amount."
Emaciated, downtrodden, the peasants met the Queen's offer with gratitude. They relished the thought of facing their tormentors in a fight. Meve spied the outline of Malabon Castle on the horizon and turned dour. True, no golden suns waved atop its towers, yet that did not mean those within supported her. Malabon belonged to House Obert, long in conflict with Meve's own, and with Meve herself.
Behind their ramparts. Do you see them, Reynard?
Asked Meve, shaking her head.
Countless ballistae, collecting dust, while war rages all around.
Perhaps the Oberts will lend us aid,
Reynard replied.
True, you've been at odds with them in the past, but perhaps now, faced with a common foe.
A common foe?
Snorted the Queen.
You mean Nilfgaard, to whom they opened their gates? Caldwell, whom they supported?
For they were convinced the Empire would win this war, and resistance pointless. Yet you have shown all the North the Blackclads can be defeated. So perhaps they shall forget old wrongs.
The things I do for the good of my realm.
Meve sighed.
So be it. Reynard, send a runner to the castle. Tell the Oberts their queen seeks a word.
Moments later, the castle's heavy iron gate creaked open. Meve rode into the cobblestone courtyard, where Margravine Greta, head of the house, greeted her. Although, greeted is perhaps not the right word, for Lady Greta granted her only a barely perceptible nod.
What can I help you with, Meve?
The war, my dear. The one being fought outside the walls of your castle.
Greta smiled to herself, then intertwined her brittle, ring-covered fingers.
I'm afraid that's impossible.
It is a vassal's sacred duty to serve her liege, and...
And my liege is King Willem.
Greta calmly retorted.
Against whom you have raised arms.
Willem is a usurper. He unlawfully stripped me of my crown.
The Council of Peers deprived you of your crown.
Greta said, pursing her eyes into thin slits.
Fearing you would drag this realm into a senseless war. A fear which, it is now abundantly clear, was well-founded.
I have returned home a victor. I defeated the Nilfgaardians in Angren.
Due to a stroke of good luck. You think defeating Caldwell means you can defeat the Emperor as well? Madness, my dear Meve. And my men will not die for madness. Leave my home! Begone from my lands!
I shall go,
said the Queen.
But I shall return here once I win this war. And I shall reckon then with you and your house.
Meve kicked her spurs and set off at a gallop, sparks flying where horseshoes met cobblestones. For long afterwards, she silently mouthed a litany of curses aimed at the Oberts and their old Margravine.
Quest for death is yours, my queen. We'd rather have an accord with the Blackclads. Get on with them. Quest for death is yours, my queen. We'd rather have an accord with the Blackclads. Get on with them.
Meve's force reached Cavaldon, a small, run-down town.
The Blackclads! They've a strong garrison in place,
proclaimed her scouts upon returning from a foray.
And they stand prepared for a siege. Their stores overflow, and we see ballistas, scorpions.
Cavaldon can be taken,
began Reynard hesitantly.
But not without losses. Considerable losses.
A retreat? Is that what you advise?
I fear the soldiers wouldn't take to such a course. They're eager, Your Grace. They've a fire in them. Order a retreat and you could devastate morale.
Our losses may be heavy,
said Meve, drawing her sword.
But I'll make certain the vile invader suffers even more. Order the troops to prepare. We will attack.
Soon after, the Lyrians moved on Cavaldon, war drums rumbling in step to their march. Upon the walls, the Nilfgaardians stood poised to defend.
I won't leave a single city to these invader scum! Valyria! For Rivia!
Scheiß in Trey! This could hurt.
We must bring down their walls! Crush them!
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Yes.
Don't you worry yourself, you place. You'll get it done in no time.
My, now that is some fancy weaponry. But it's still got that new war machine smell.
Take it anymore.
We must trust each other.
Very good. Watch your heads!
Pissing in the moat? God, he's dead.
Go on, Encader!
Discipline. That is what you folk lack.
Now, how did that incantation go?
Don't like this.
Very good. Hey? Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
Go on, then, Kazel!
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Discipline. That is what you folk lack.
Right.
We did it, Your Grace. The city is ours.
The Nilfgaardians had indeed prepared well, with grapples to repel hook ladders from the walls and long spears to rain down upon attackers far below. Meve managed on the fourth attempt to breach the defenses, but did so scrambling over the corpses of her own men. The Queen was in the field tent when Reynard arrived with surprising news. To be heard over the groans of the wounded, he had to raise his voice.
Your Grace, a delegation of townsfolk. They seek an audience urgently.
Dozens of burghers stood before the tent. Between them and the Queen, a man knelt in shackles. His face was blooded as if he'd endured a vicious beating just moments before.
Who's this?
Our blacksmith, Todor.
Snarled a priestess in a frayed robe.
He betrayed you, Your Grace. Soon after the Nilfgaardians arrived, within hours in truth, he offered his labor and strength. They didn't even need to ask. Forged arms and armor for them, all for imperial gold.
Meve gripped the beaten man's beard, tugged upwards, and looked him in the eyes.
Did you forge the hooks and the tips for those spears?
I did, Your Grace.
It was fine work,
growled the Queen.
Damned fine.
Show him mercy, milady!
Cried a withered old man in a flour-spattered apron.
When the black-clad bastards captured my son, they were eager to hang him. Todor spoke for him, saved his life.
He helped me too!
Hollered a woman in the crowd.
I were hungry. He shared what little he had.
The townsfolk began shouting over one another. Some told of the blacksmith's noble deeds. Others labelled him a traitor, deserving of a cruel and violent end. Meve turned back towards the field hospital, pondering the case. Then spotted her soldiers' corpses laid out in rows. Had it not been for Todor, there might not have been so many.
"20 soldiers died today, wresting Cavaldon from Nilfgaard's grip,"
said Meve, her tone cold and unforgiving.
"'Twas your iron that felled them. 'Twill be your blood that pays the debt. 5 lashes for each of the fallen."
Todor's torturers were several, as no one man's arm could complete 100 blows. Amazingly, Todor survived the ordeal, but his body had been broken. He'd never put hammer to anvil again, and spent the rest of his days a beggar.
Freedom will cost us dearly. He weren't a bad...
Your Majesty, the hut's untouched. Ripe grain in the fields, 'tis hard to believe. I feared we'd have another Edirn here, with the Blackclads setting fire to all.
I feared nothing of the sort. Nilfgaard's not stupid. Lands it aims to hold, it doesn't destroy. And Willem did bend the knee to the Emperor.
$152, $154.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Catch!
Cursed traitors.
Scrubbing duty again? Oh, gods. I smell a leak.
Used to be, I hunted game. Men bring more coin.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away. Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
You mad? Don't shake that!
Wanna know why I got my scar?
Thing about slings, they're hard well.
Quick and painful this'll be.
Zericania, source of the best goods.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Back in line! Move!
Coin never stinks, no matter how rank the pouch.
Watch your heads!
March!
Cursed traitors.
Must be an important lesson in this. But what?
Hundred and 102, 103.
Got any medals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
It's gonna be a right good levy, big and beautiful.
Hundred and 52, 154.
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Can't take it anymore. How did that incantation go?
Ah!
I smell a leak.
Of course, as you wish, master.
Hey?
Off to the front yet again.
Stop your yapping and start digging.
Quiet, or the Commissar will hear.
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
As good as dead, that lot.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Broadhead now loomed before Meve and her force. Once famous for its glowing forges and clanking manufactories, the city now stood silent. Why, you might ask? Because Mahakam. Decades past, it had opened its gates to human merchants and dwarven arms, exquisitely crafted and not nearly as dear as those made by man. The caravans had simply stopped coming to Broadhead. When its black-clad garrison spotted the Lyrians approaching, they'd hastily fled, left the city's gates open wide. Yet, they did not leave empty-handed. Their convoy comprising at least a dozen wagons loaded ostensibly to the hilt.
With what might they have fled?
With something damn heavy,
replied Gascon, squinting his eyes.
Look at this. 2 horses to pull each wagon, and the wheels cut deep into the road.
What they've taken from my city,
began the Queen.
They've taken from me, and I will have it back. Follow me!
Meve spurred her horse and galloped off in pursuit of the fleeing caravan. When the Blackclads realized they had no hope of escape, they planted pikes and feet, bracing for the assault.
Whatever you carry belongs to me!
They gain ground! Dal Seifel!
Sod it. Sod it all.
It's gonna be a right good levy, big and beautiful.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am. My boots got sand aplenty in them. You can try to win them all, but you don't.
Company! Forward march!
Nothing personal, I assure you.
Stop your yapping and start digging.
This could hurt.
Enough! I refuse to die for these scraps!
Meve personally, and none too gently, shackled the Nilfgaardian commander, a young nobleman with a precisely trimmed moustache. Like many noble Imperials, he spoke fluent common.
The wagons. What's in them, Captain?
Scrap, Your Majesty.
The Imperial promptly replied. Noting the Queen's confusion, he elaborated.
To be melted down and recast into arrowheads and spear tips. Our engineers originally planned to use the foundries in Broadhead, yet these proved too primitive. We were ordered to remove the scrap, take it elsewhere.
Any pride from the victory vanished in an instant, and Meve swelled with anger, but also with shame. The shame came from realizing that to the invader, her realm was naught more than a weak, underdeveloped backwater. Meve slammed the chest she'd opened shut.
Blast it! Back to Broadhead. Let's ride.
Crumbling walls, shattered windows, rotted wood. Broadhead was bleak, a dull shadow of its former self. As the Lyrians entered, the somber townsfolk glared at the arrivals and uttered not a word. Meve resolved to address the crowd.
Folk of Broadhead, you're free at last. The Nilfgaardian occupation is done.
Aye, and a new one starts now. Are you mad, man? Don't you recognize our banners? The Lyrian army stands before you.
Oh, I recognize banners. Served neath them as a sergeant 15 long years. And then I came back to my own town. Know what I found? Hardship and squalor, your grace. All had gone to shite. On account of damn dwarves. Been flooding Rivia with their metal goods for years now. Us smiths don't so much as light their pipes in their foundries no more. You call yourselves the Lyrian army. Colours and banners confirm it. Well, what about your arms? Weren't forged in us fires, but in Mahakams. By us worst foes. Hell, I even see some at knobheads in your ranks. So what freedom's it you're giving us, your grace? Freedom to beg in common, not in Nilfgaard's mongrel tongue.
Beg? What are you on about, man?
There's no levy on goods from Mahakam. But without it, us workshops don't stand a chance. And ye, your grace, you wear their armour, bear their arms, and bring bearded bastards to our doorstep.
The dwarves are faithful allies. They help us because...
Because they've got something to gain. Simple as that.
Enough. Silence. Consider yourself lucky you've a merciful queen. I'd have had your head off by now. Move along.
Before Meve could leave the market square, Barnabas politely interjected.
Frankly speaking, there's a bit of truth to what the man says.
I'm perfectly aware of that. But what do you want?
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but perhaps I might be of some help.
Do tell how. I'm all ears.
Everything your folk make here The dwarves of Mahakam make twice as fast and twice as well. You must find a so-called niche, an innovation. And it just so happens innovations
are your speciality.
At the risk of being immodest, exactly. Besides, it might serve the cause of peace to show the folk here, non-humans, are not all bad, that they can help. Not just steal human jobs and piss in their milk.
I'll consider it, Barnabas. I shall think and let you know.
The time came to leave Broadhead, so Meve summoned her advisors, eager to hear their counsel. They put forth ideas, many of merit, but the Queen would decide the city's future. After careful deliberation, the Queen approved Barnabas's proposal. He would manage the city's ailing industry and seek to restore it to health.
Barnabas, just please, do your best not to blow it all up.
Don't you worry, Your Grace. The only boom in this town's future is that of the economic sort.
At first, the Rivian townsfolk were skeptical of the Queen's decision, but Barnabas's schemes bore immediate fruit. Soon, the foundries and manufactories were bustling with life. Before long, Meve herself received new goods produced there.
Now, I'm no ally of gnomes or any freaks, but this Barnabas bloke, he's not a bad apple. Now, I'm no...
The wind howls like a ghastly apparition.
to reap, a time to sow. Time to die.
Ah!
Stick 'em up! High as the clouds! Now!
Aye.
You might have got away had you not been falling so damn much.
If anyone asks, you've not seen me. There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
Of course I'll manage. I trained a full week.
Pointy end upwards, right?
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die. Aye.
You can pay the toll in one of two ways. In silver or in blood.
If anyone asks, you've not seen me. There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
Life had me ploughed, now here I'm marching proud.
Left.
Right, left. What now?
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
You might have got away had you not been hauling so damn much.
There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
Not going into the fray already, are we?
Greetings. What is it?